In 1992, Lagos, the city, was chaotic but alive. Radios played 𝐕𝐢𝐝𝐿 Onwenu. Molwe buses roared down the streets of 𝐕𝐢𝐿𝐝𝐝𝐿. The air buzzed with ambition and hunger. The hunger to survive. Inside a white-painted mansion in 𝐸𝐿𝐼, 𝐕𝐢𝐼𝐻 was on her knees again. Bucket in hand, scrubbing the corridor tiles like her life depended on it. And maybe it did. She was 17, sent from 𝐕𝐢𝐝𝐻 by an aunt who'd promised her better life in the city, but what she got was house-help slavery. No school, no salary, just chores from morning till midnight. She was addressed not by name, but by orders. "Hey you, wash that plate. Come, sweep this place. Go and iron my husband's agbada." Yet 𝐕𝐢𝐼𝐻 never complained. She was quiet, invisible, until the son of the house came home. 𝐕𝐻𝐻 Adekunle, fresh from the UK, stepped out of the airport with his designer luggage and London accent. The only son of Chief and Chief, Mrs. Adekunle, shipping magnates with estates in Banana Island and political connections all the way to Abuja. He had just graduated with a law degree. His parents had big plans: join the family firm, marry into a wealthy family, and run for House of Representatives in a few years. But 𝐸𝐻𝐻 didn't return with the desire to impress anyone. He returned with a question that haunted him. What do I want for myself? His first week in Lagos was uneventful, until he nearly tripped over a girl scrubbing the floor in the corridor. She looked up, eyes wide. Her blouse was soaked with detergent. Her hands were wrinkled from water. "Sorry, sir," she said quickly, bending her head. 𝐸𝐻𝐻 looked again. She was young, too young to be treated like a slave. Something stirred in his chest. "What's your name?" he asked. She blinked. 𝐕𝐢𝐼𝐻. He smiled. Nice name, beautiful name. And then he walked away. She thought nothing of it, just a rich boy being polite. But that was the first crack in the wall between them. It started slowly. 𝐸𝐻𝐻 would nod at her in the kitchen, ask her if she'd eaten, drop small chocolates on the table when no one was looking. Other staff began whispering, "Oga is looking at her, oh. This one go cause 𝐕𝐢𝐝𝐻." Madam noticed too. She summoned 𝐕𝐢𝐻𝐻 one evening. "Let me tell you something," she said, sipping tea like poison. "Don't think, because my son is being nice, you can raise your eyes. One mistake, and you're on the next bus back to 𝐕𝐢𝐻𝐻." 𝐕𝐢𝐻𝐻 nodded, tears threatening to spill. She began avoiding 𝐸𝐻𝐻, but he was persistent. He noticed her pain. He asked questions, and slowly she told him bits of her story. Her parents were killed in a motor accident on Enugu Road. Her uncle sold her parents' land and disappeared. Her aunt in Lagos offered to help, but used her like a rag. 𝐸𝐻𝐻 listened, and for the first time in her life, someone truly saw her. It was a Sunday afternoon. Chief and Madame had travelled to Abuja for a wedding. 𝐸𝐻𝐻 asked 𝐕𝐢𝐻𝐻 to meet him in the back garden. She hesitated, then went. There, on a mat under the mango tree, he had laid out gala, Fanta and suya. "Don't worry, I'm not trying to seduce you," he said, grinning. "I just want to talk." They sat. They laughed. She told him she once dreamed of becoming a teacher. He told her he was tired of pretending to be the perfect son. As they talked, she forgot the gap between them. He was just 𝐸𝐻𝐻, not Oga. And she was 𝐕𝐢𝐻𝐻, not the house girl. Their friendship grew in whispers and secrecy. 𝐸𝐻𝐻 began leaving notes in her laundry bag. 𝐕𝐢𝐻𝐻 replied by tucking tiny pieces of paper into his novels. Then came the cassette. One day, she opened her bucket and found a tape labelled "Play Me When You're Alone." She played it that night. It was 𝐸𝐻𝐻's voice over an instrumental of Boys II Men. "I don't know what this is, 𝐕𝐢𝐻𝐻, but you're in my heart, and I don't want to stop talking to you." She clutched the tape to her chest and wept. The secret didn't stay secret for long. One rainy Thursday, Madam returned early from her trip. She walked into the kitchen and found Toby sitting beside 𝐕𝐲𝐿, feeding her jollof rice and laughing. Madame screamed, "What is this?" 𝐕𝐲𝐿 jumped up, terrified. Toby stood up calmly. "She's not doing anything wrong," he said. "You bring a common house girl into my kitchen to share food with you? Have you gone mad?" Madam slapped 𝐕𝐲𝐿, dragged her by the wrapper, threw her belongings out. By morning, 𝐕𝐲𝐿 was packed into a taxi, shaking like a leaf. But just as the driver was about to pull out, Toby ran into the driveway, drenched from rain. "If she goes, I go too," he shouted. Everyone froze. Madam screamed. Chief threatened. But Toby was unmoved. He entered the car beside her, and they drove off. They moved into a single room in Surulere. No air conditioning, no generator. But it was their home. Toby used his savings to enroll 𝐕𝐲𝐿 in adult education classes. He found work as a junior associate at a law firm. They lived on EBA and beans, sometimes just Gary and groundnut. They had nothing except each other. There were days 𝐕𝐲𝐿 doubted it all. "Maybe I'm ruining your life," she'd whisper. Toby would smile and reply, "You're the reason I'm finally living it." Within 2 years, 𝐕𝐲𝐿 passed her WAEC. She applied for a diploma in business admin at YABATECH. She began to change, not just physically, but in confidence. Her laughter was louder, her posture straighter. She started volunteering at a local orphanage. She said, "I want other girls like me to know they matter." Toby watched her with pride. The girl who once mopped floors now walked into boardrooms with her head high. One evening, after dinner, Toby got on one knee with a ring. It wasn't flashy, just a small gold band he'd saved for months to buy. "𝐕𝐲𝐿," he said, "from the first day I saw you, I knew you were more than they saw. Will you be my wife?" She cried so hard she couldn't answer. Then she whispered, "Yes." The wedding was simple but beautiful. A hall in Yaba, decorated with fabric and borrowed chairs. Madame didn't come. Chief didn't send a gift. But the cook was there, the driver, the gardener, neighbours, street children, her adult education teacher. Everyone clapped as she walked down the aisle in her lace gown. Someone whispered, "Isn't that the house girl?" But another voice replied, "No, that's 𝐕𝐲𝐿, the bride." Today, Toby and 𝐕𝐲𝐿 run a law firm and an NGO for abused and abandoned girls. They live in Lekki Phase 1, in a modest home filled with books and laughter. They have 2 children, a boy and a girl. But 𝐕𝐲𝐿 never forgot. She still carries the wooden bucket, not to scrub floors, but as a symbol, a reminder that no condition is permanent. She tells her daughters, "If you see a broom, don't laugh. Some brooms can fly." 10 years later, 𝐕𝐲𝐿 stood in front of a crowd at the National Women Empowerment Conference in Abuja. The hall was filled with senators, CEOs, first ladies, and international guests. Cameras flashed. Microphones were pointed toward her. But 𝐕𝐲𝐿 wasn't nervous. She wore her signature blue Ankara with pride, hair in a simple bun, her voice clear and strong. She took the mic and smiled. "I was once the girl nobody looked at, the girl who scrubbed toilets, fetched water, and slept beside mops in a corridor. I was told my dreams didn't matter because of where I came from." The hall was quiet. But one person saw me, not because I was rich, not because I wore fine clothes, but because I was human, and that changed everything. People clapped slowly, then louder. Some women wiped tears. She continued, "Today, we've empowered over 400 girls across Nigeria. Girls like me, girls who were once invisible." She paused. "And I want to tell every young woman out there, you are not your circumstance. You are not your suffering. You are not your past." Thunderous applause followed. In the front row, Toby watched her with pride in his eyes. His once soft-spoken wife now addressed the nation. After the conference, as they walked to the parking lot, a familiar voice called out, "𝐕𝐢𝐝𝐿." She turned. Standing by a black Prado was Chief Mrs. 𝐕𝐢𝐝𝐿, her former madam. Time had softened her. Her hair was streaked with grey, her voice less sharp. I watched your speech," she said. I was wrong." 𝐕𝐢𝐝𝐿 blinked. Silence. "I didn't see you then. I only saw your role, your status, not your soul." For a long second, 𝐕𝐢𝐝𝐿 said nothing. Then, softly, she replied, "I saw myself, even when no one did. That's why I survived." Mrs. 𝐕𝐢𝐝𝐿 lowered her head. "Can you ever forgive me?" 𝐕𝐢𝐝𝐿 looked at her, the woman who once called her witch and sent her away in disgrace. But now, standing here, broken, humbled, she didn't seem so powerful anymore. "I already have," 𝐕𝐢𝐝𝐿 said, "a long time ago." They hugged, briefly, awkwardly. But it was real. That night, at home, 𝐕𝐢𝐝𝐿 tucked her daughter into bed. The little girl asked, "Mummy, were you really a maid?" 𝐕𝐢𝐝𝐿 smiled. "Yes, darling, and I learned something very important." "What's that?" "That even brooms, the things we use and throw away, can sweep their way into palaces if they stay strong." The little girl giggled. "Can I be a broom too?" "No," 𝐕𝐢𝐝𝐿 said, hugging her close. "You will be a star." And that night, in their quiet, lecky home, beneath the hum of the ceiling fan and the scent of dinner still in the air, 𝐕𝐢𝐝𝐿 knew. Her journey wasn't just for her. It was for every forgotten girl who needed to believe again. The end. What's your own broom to bride story? Tell us in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more soul-stirring African stories.